Hello and welcome to Making Wine Part 2. This is the step that we put everything together that I showed you in the last video. In the bucket are the 30 pounds of grapes that have been frozen and now thawed and crushed a bit with that masher. They'll get crushed more in the process as you'll see that go on, but they're ready to go right now. I have, for the 6 gallons of wine, the 12 pounds of sugar. I have the nutrients all dissolved in that water. The 3 things that I showed you before that I use, especially the pectic enzyme. If you're going to use one of those, I'd say that's the most important one, but the other 2 are nice to have and they're pretty cheap. And then the yeast, which I use the Red Star yeast. Basically, I should explain what the process is in case you don't know exactly how fermentation works. What the process is this sugar isn't to make the wine sweet. If you want sweet wine, you add sugar at the end of the process. This sugar, what it does is the yeast turns the sugar into alcohol. And yeasts have different tolerances for how much alcohol content they can make. This one makes about 15%. Some make up to, say, 18%. But I have boiling water here because that's going to serve a few purposes. First of all, I'm going to, in a moment, pour this over that. Unfortunately, I can't hold the camera and do that at the same time, so I'm going to have to stop the camera and show you that in a moment. But this boiling water is going to kill the yeast that might be on the grapes. Any wild yeast could be on them, and wild yeast aren't good. They will ferment the grapes, but only to, say, maybe 3 or 4% alcohol content, so what's the point of making wine that's 3 or 4%? So anyway, that's another thing that it does. Another thing that adding the water does is I personally don't just use grape juice. I use this 2 gallons of water for kind of a base as I make the wine. And it just kind of helps break down the grapes as well in here. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the next few minutes. I'll stop the video now. And when I start it up, you'll see everything together in this bucket. So, talk to you soon. Okay, let me show you 2 things that are happening right now while I wait for the grapes to cool down a little bit. I have put the yeast into some warm, not hot, but just slightly warmed up water, and you see it's dissolving right now. In a moment I'll pour that in when it cools down. And then I'm boiling some more water. I'm not going to get this up to a boil. I just want this water a little bit warmer because all the sugar that was in those bags is in there with some water, and that's going to dissolve it. And then I'll throw that in here as well and bring that. I don't want to bring it all the way up to the top because it's got to have some space to be able to stir it later on, which I'll show you in a few days. But yeah, that's all I need to do is to wait for that to finish dissolving, throw that in there, and then throw the yeast in there as well, and we are all ready to go. So I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, sugar is in there, yeast is in there, we are all ready to seal it up. So here I have the lid, which has the airlock on it. There you see the airlock has some water in there. Nothing's going to go on right now for the next 24 hours, but my next video that I'll do in a couple days, this will be going pretty crazy. So that's always a fun part of the process, and show you what that's like in a few days. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.